Hello, it's Alisa Agnes, and welcome to the second episode of my podcast. Okay, so in the first episode, I told you that it will be about the battlefield and the cross poetry. So at first, let me read you the first one, the battlefield. It's time to come alive, like a phoenix. It's time to rise today, like a skyscraper. I had to compete with traumas. I've been asleep way too long. It's time to leave my shadow. I I am coming. I I am back today. So that's the battlefield. And right now I must tell you why it's opener of my debut poetry book, because I wrote this in a very specific time of my life when I came back to writing. It was 2019, and it was a tough time for me because those traumas that I talk about here are nothing but related to losing a home in a fire. I mean, exactly a year before writing this poetry piece, I survived a fire in my building, pre-war building, and it was very tough to me because it's been just a month since I started um, my studies, and I just had nothing. And for a 19-year-old, it's just nothing but tough. And when I was 20, I moved to the apartment where I am right now, recording this podcast. Well, it's been 5 years. And for such a young and sensitive person like me, it was just really tough. And I just came back to writing, and it just felt like I was fighting for myself, for my life, like again, because this is not just one trauma that I had to deal with, because when I was a teenager, I had to deal with unbelievable hate in schools. I mean, in primary school and in middle school. So it's been 6 years of constant dealing with hate, and people always say that haters live in the internet, but I had to watch faces of my haters every single day for 6 years. And even when I went to the new school when I was 13, and I thought it will be a new start, new beginning, but it wasn't like that, because people could see that I was different. I mean, they they just told me that I was different, that I dress differently, that I speak differently, so they were just rude to me. And this experience, I think, crafted who I was for way too long. And well, that's the first trauma. And another one is a romantic one. Well, it's I guess it's a matter for some gossip. I mean, there is a boy who I've known for many years, and it's always been complicated. And I didn't feel well when I found out that he found a girlfriend, and well, he stopped talking to me. And then when he was in a relationship, he suddenly came back, and I was just confused. And I didn't feel well about this. So that's one trauma, but there is another one when the situation repeated. At the end, it started repeating right then when I wrote this poetry work. So as you can see, I've had a really tough life. So my poetry is made of real, emotions, and it just felt like a battlefield when I had to deal with all that was bad in my life, and I just had to fight for my dreams, for everything. But in the end, I came back to writing after about 2 years, and it was probably my first poetry work that I wrote then. Yep. So now let me read you the second opening poetry work. It's called Cursed Poetry. Misunderstood cursed poetry, my dear, poor, and concerned kids. Their blood is spoiled by ignorance, but I still believe in tolerance. So this poetry work is about a situation when I decided to put out kinda my first poetry book. I mean the first volume, which is called Love, Pain and Other Addictions, and it happened on Wattpad. All bad things just went away in 2014 when I went to high school, and I could finally be myself, and I had a good reputation of a just poet, and I wrote so many poetry pieces then, which make this book, and I couldn't publish this book in 2017 as I wanted, as I've said, because of the fire, and it happened kinda on Wattpad in 2019. But well, those poetry works that mean so much to me, and which were, I think liked by people who knew me, and I get a few prizes for them, and people were so rude, just rude on Wattpad when I published this book. So it's just how I felt about this, and that's why I wrote Cursed Poetry, and that's why I think it was so important, and I made an opener of it. So yep. As you can see, I will talk about here about some really tough experiences, but I hope they will help people who are in similar situations, because this is what poetry is for. For me, it's to just share my feelings, but I know I'm not alone, and if there's anyone who needs to hear this, then I hope that you will find what you need in my poetry. So okay, I think that's all. And well, the next episode will be about a song which I wrote when I was just 13 years old. It's called Revolution, and well, Riaden. When it comes to the boy, don't hate on him because it wasn't nothing bad, to be honest. Uh, I mean, we've been just talking and fantasizing, and we've met a few times, and that's it. Okay, I also have to say a few words about my pen name because I think it's also important and it's related to the first poetry work, which is called Battlefield. Alisa was created by me when I was just 15, and it came from the name Ali, which is a fictional character with whom I could relate so much. So I decided to have the same name, but I also added to it two letters from my two first letters from my name and surname, and this way I was Alisa for few years. And then when I came back to writing and decided to have my first English blog, I decided to leave the shadow and don't be just anonym, blogger. Because if you've been there from the beginning, I'm sure that you noticed that I didn't want to post any pictures with my face and this kind of stuff, and that's important to me. Then in 2020, I decided to add to my first pen name also my real name, Agnes, and this way I'm Alisa Agnes right now. So.